Okay, next up we have Rob Arnold, our marketing director. This way, Rob. All righty. Go for it.
Right. This property, it's actually in Tallahassee. One of the things that I've tried to niche myself a little bit is I'll buy properties anywhere in the state, and additionally, I buy properties that are severely damaged. When I advertise, I do fire damage, sinkhole damage, storm damage, and mold damage. This property, it's a 3-unit townhouse. It's an end unit. The unit itself is 3 bedrooms and 2 baths, and that's kind of a picture over there. Okay. The seller was it was a mother and son that owned this. The son had attended Florida State University, and he had lived in the property during that time. They bought it, I believe, at the top of the market, 2006. They bought it when he was attending there, and he had since moved to Orlando, and they were renting it out, the property. And it got to the point where they got stuck where they had to do a short sale on the property. 3-bedroom, 2 baths. Yeah, it's actually a nice little neighborhood, a community pool in the neighborhood, and you paid monthly dues, and they mowed the grass for you, so it was pretty low maintenance. Good for college students. They had it listed as 2012 as a short sale for $89,000. In June, the property started showing some cracks, and it ended up having some sinkhole activity, supposedly. They contacted their insurance company, and the insurance company settled a claim with them, which paid off their mortgage and put an end to the short sale. But then they had a damaged property, and they contacted me. Luckily, the seller's son, who was one of the owners, he was local in Orlando, so it made it a little easier to deal with it. But they ended up selling to me. They were asking $30,000 when I first talked to them. I was able to negotiate them down some and got them down to $18,000. And go back one. Go back. The one thing with this property, I buy properties all over the state, but a lot of them, Orlando, luckily, is centrally located for a lot of it. So you can get to a lot of places in Florida within 2 or 3 hours, but Tallahassee's a hike from here. It's 5 hours one way to get there, and I've only been to Tallahassee one time, and it wasn't to see this property.
But he still buys everywhere.
I'll go wherever. What I ended up doing is I just went online. Once I did get a contract on it, I went online and searched around trying to find some realtors there, and through a few phone calls, I was able to find a independent broker who did some property management and some other things, he helped me with the property. He helped me a lot, actually. He went and took pictures. They found a home inspector to kind of give me an inspection of the property, and then ultimately, after we closed on it, he helped me do a little minor rehab work to it. Basically, and one thing Kim had just touched on is that if you offer to buy their contents just for free, or however, just so that you can, because a lot of the sellers, the mother was in South Florida somewhere, West Palm Beach or Fort Lauderdale, and the son was in Orlando, and so they were at a distance, and the property had a bunch of furniture in it, and so I offered just to take that with them as is, and that helps cinch the deal sometimes when you do that. Just say we'll just take the contents, but had the real estate broker, he helped me with trash out and some cleanup and things like that. We pressure washed the outside. It didn't do a whole lot with it. Just being so far away, I didn't want to get involved with a heavy rehab. And normally, when I get these sinkhole properties, I'll go in and fix them and stabilize them. But this one was so far away that I just didn't want to fool with doing that. The ARV, I figured it was about $90,000, and surprisingly, this was a 3-unit building, and the building, mine was on the right side, and the unit on the left had sold in June for $110,000, which I don't know how they got that, because the whole building was affected by this problem. But I ended up after we do it, a little mini rehab, took about a week or so to. I ended up listing it for $49,000, and it sat for about a month or so. It was kind of during the holidays. I bought it in November, and so it was during the holidays. But somebody offered me $54,000, some type of hedge fund outfit or something, and I thought it was kind of too good to be true. And of course, they didn't want to put down any deposit. They wanted a 60-day closing, no deposit. I'm like, well, if we're paying Paying no, but they were, the outfit, it was some outfit that wasn't local to Tallahassee, but I just like, for an extra $5,000, I'm willing to just take a little risk. And of course, they didn't close, and so put it back on the market, and ultimately, sorry.
Keep going.
Ultimately, let's see, flipping through a lot of them here. Ultimately, it sold for $35,000. But one thing that happened kind of in between there, the neighbor in the middle, apparently, I'm not sure what his deal was, but he sent me a certified letter, and it was kind of long and kind of a little frightening.
He's a psycho.
He was threatening to sue everybody, and I went and looked at it again today just to kind of see what he sent it to me, the title company, the previous owner, my real estate broker, and a few other people, and it said stuff like, had words like FBI and Secret Service and all this. I'm like, oh gosh,
Psycho.
What in the world here? So I started getting kind of motivated, and so that's why I ended up selling it a little bit lower than the 49, just because I'm like, it's 5 hours away, and I got some nut living right next door. So it's, but ended up selling for $35,000. It kind of seemed like cost into it. I netted $10,800. And I was into it, I believe I bought it in November, sold it about April 1st, somewhere in there. But I made $10,800, and the thing about this, I never saw this property, never saw it. The guy, just all off of pictures and a video that the guy took, and I had a very good local realtor there that I've done some referrals with since then, just because he was so great. The two lessons that I got out of it is that it's very, if you're working at any type of distance, it's very key to find good people, because that can make or break it, and it's often challenging doing that, but I mean it's very possible. And I mean, other thing is that when you buy an attached property, you got to know a little bit who's right next door. But I mean, there's only so much you can do, but that pays off as well. So.
Okay, very quickly. One of the things that you mentioned was, my brain just went blank. Oh, I'll just go to the audience. Are there any questions from the audience?
What I did with him is I paid him, at closing, got 6% commission, and I paid him $1,000 on the buy-in to help me with the rehab and the inspection and things like that, just because I wanted somebody to be treated fairly, so they would take care of the property. And
That was my question. The criteria for finding the broker. What process did you go through? What criteria did you use?
What I was looking for was somebody who was somebody's an independent, not somebody who's working for one of these big corporate type brokerages, because they have a lot more solid set of rules that they have to follow that they can't bend. And I needed somebody that would help me manage the property. So I got somebody that was I was looking for somebody that did property management as well. I mean, those are the two main things, and also that he was investor friendly.
Did you check for referrals, or you just interviewed him on the phone?
Actually, the way I came across him, somebody else referred him to me ultimately, and then I did my own research on him, online, best you could. So.
Very well. Are there any other questions from the audience? Anybody? Yes, Susie.
Where did you get the money to buy it, and then where did you get it, the buyer who bought it? Did you get it from the realtor?
Where did the money come from?
The money, well, it was $18,000. I had cash available for it. The buyer, the realtor, that buyer, the realtor actually sold it himself. He was an investor friendly guy, and he found somebody, one of his investors. Once I got the price down a little lower, got one of his investors to buy it. They got a real good deal, because it's.
Anybody else? Yes, Susie.
No, because once I started, I read through the letter, and I talked to some other people, and this guy sent out a letter to everybody involved in the transaction, and I spoke with the homeowner association president, and he goes, "Oh, that guy's been threatening to sue everybody for 15 years," and
a psycho-attached
I was like,
neighbor, because I asked him that.
yeah. So it's.
Anybody else? No. Okay, thank you, Rob.
One thing
Sure.
I do also, when I get property very low priced, there's a way to buy them. You can pay the dock stamps to the Department of Revenue as opposed to the property appraiser, and so it'll show 0 is what you paid for the property, and then it doesn't drag the values down and make all the neighbors mad at you. So I do that with most of the stuff when I buy them very low. I just do that, and then it's no extra cost. It doesn't, all the taxes get paid. It just gets paid a different way.
How do you register the deed? You send in your proof?
It's a DR-228 is the name of the form. If you look that up, it's your title company. Get your title company to do that.
You know, you guys, we're running out of time. There's going to be plenty of information in the newsletter. Somebody going to take a picture?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Please give Rob Arnold a round of applause.